Today is Tuesday, August 13th. We'll tell you what the FBI has learned about attempts to hack both presidential campaigns and what happened during an unusual interview between former President Trump and the world's richest businessman. Also, we have the latest track of Tropical Storm Ernesto, plus what to know about a possible subscription crackdown, the latest feature that makes TikTok a little more like WhatsApp, and changes Taylor Swift fans might notice at her next 5 shows. Those stories and more news to know next. Welcome to The Newsworthy. All the day's news in around 10 minutes. Fast, fair, fun, and on the go. I'm Erica Mandy. Thanks so much for being here. You ready? Let's do this. Former President Trump took part in a unique Q&A last night. He was interviewed by the world's wealthiest person, Elon Musk, on Musk's social media platform, X, formerly known as Twitter. The highly anticipated event was delayed for about 40 minutes because of technical difficulties, drawing comparisons to when Florida Governor Ron DeSantis tried to launch his presidential campaign on X last year. Trump's team said the platform was just overwhelmed with listeners logging in. But Musk seemed to suggest it was no accident, saying, quote, "There's a lot of opposition to people just hearing what President Trump has to say." Eventually, Trump and Musk did speak about some key issues the former president has been focused on in recent months. For example, immigration. Trump claimed more than 20 million people have entered the U.S. after escaping prisons, mental institutions, or insane asylums, though immigration experts have said they cannot corroborate those numbers. Trump and Musk also spoke about the attempt on the former president's life. Musk praised him, saying his reaction to last month's shooting demonstrated a toughness that's critical for national security. Trump also complimented Musk, saying he had strength and courage and smarts. And he welcomed the idea of Musk joining his next administration should he be elected, saying the business leader could help cut government waste. Once the interview ended, Vice President Kamala Harris's team responded to say, quote, "Trump's entire campaign is in service of people like Elon Musk and himself, self-obsessed rich guys who will sell out the middle class and who cannot run a live stream in the year 2024. Musk has been a Trump supporter for a while. A few months ago, he created a political action committee that's supporting the former president's campaign. Trump's X account was actually reinstated soon after Musk bought the company back in 2022. And just yesterday, Trump's X account did post a series of campaign ads, his first posts in nearly a year. Well, it's possible Iran has been trying to hack both of America's top presidential campaigns. This week, the FBI confirmed it opened a high-stakes national security investigation. The agency says it actually started investigating back in June, before President Biden dropped his re-election bid. Apparently, 3 staffers on the Biden-Harris campaign received spear phishing emails that could have given hackers access to internal communications. But investigators haven't found evidence the hacking attempts actually worked. Separately, the Trump campaign said it was hacked in June and blames Iran, though Iranian officials say their country wasn't involved and has no motive to interfere with the U.S. presidential election. Of course, the FBI is still looking into those allegations as well, and the presidential campaigns say they're taking more steps to secure their emails. The U.S. is rushing more reinforcements to the Middle East as Israel braces for a possible attack. The Pentagon confirms it's taking the rare step of sending a guided missile submarine. It's also speeding the arrival of an aircraft carrier strike group equipped with fighter jets. Israel is considered to be a target for Iran and its proxies, not just because of the war in Gaza, but also because senior members of Hamas and Hezbollah were recently assassinated. And Iran began military drills last week, raising fears of a broader regional conflict. Just yesterday, President Biden spoke with the leaders of France, Germany, Italy, and the UK to talk about efforts to de-escalate tensions. Meanwhile, in Russia, tens of thousands of people are evacuating in response to Ukraine's surprise offensive. Ukrainian forces are now controlling more than 24 villages, and they plan to keep going, with officials saying their goal is to destabilize the situation in Russia. Analysts say it's also probably about seizing territory that could serve as a bargaining chip in future peace negotiations. In response, Russia's President Putin says the attack won't change anything in Ukraine, that frontline forces will keep fighting there, while lower-level units defend Russia on the home front. Stay tuned. Puerto Rico is bracing for Tropical Storm Ernesto. The U.S. territory activated the National Guard, opened shelters, and canceled the start of classes for public schools. Forecasters say the storm will move over or at least near Puerto Rico and the Virgin Islands today and tomorrow morning, likely causing floods, landslides, and hurricane-force wind gusts. Eventually, Ernesto is expected to become a hurricane as it turns north toward Bermuda. Meanwhile, over in Los Angeles, an earthquake shook up the second largest city in the country. The 4.4 magnitude quake hit LA during the lunch hour yesterday, swaying buildings, rattling dishes, setting off car alarms, and sending some people ducking for cover. It was centered in East LA, just south of Pasadena, though it was felt across a wide area of Southern California, as far away as San Diego. The good news? No major damage or injuries were reported, just one pipe that burst at Pasadena City Hall. We have more news for you still coming up, but first, this episode is sponsored by ZocDoc. As someone who researches things a lot for both my professional and personal lives, I welcome any tools that help make that process easier. And when it comes to finding a new doctor, one tool I use is ZocDoc. ZocDoc is a free app and website where you can search and compare high-quality in-network doctors, choose the right one for your needs, and click to instantly book an appointment. You can filter for doctors who take your insurance, who are located nearby, who are a good fit for any medical need you may have, and who are highly rated by verified patients. We're talking about in-network appointments with more than 100,000 healthcare providers across every specialty, from mental health to dental health, eye care to skin care, and much more. Plus, ZocDoc appointments happen fast, typically within 24 to 72 hours of booking. You can even score same-day appointments. So stop putting off those doctor's appointments and go to ZocDoc.com/newsworthy to find and instantly book a top-rated doctor today. That's ZocDoc.com/newsworthy. ZocDoc.com/newsworthy. Okay, now back to the news. It is one of the final election days before November. People in Minnesota, Vermont, Connecticut, and Wisconsin are headed to the polls today to vote in non-presidential primaries. And even though many of the races are not competitive, they do set the stage for some crucial races in the fall that could help determine the balance of power in Congress. One of the most closely watched races is in Minnesota, where another member of the so-called squad of far-left Democrats is hoping to hold on to her seat. Congresswoman Ilhan Omar is facing a primary challenge from a Democrat who says she's too divisive for the district. She's been out fundraising her challenger, but he still thinks he has an advantage, especially since two other squad members, Cori Bush and Jamal Bowman, lost their primaries recently. Separately, Senator Bernie Sanders is back on the ballot in Vermont, though he's running unopposed. Over in Connecticut, there's a GOP primary to determine who will challenge Democratic Senator Chris Murphy in November. And in Wisconsin, there's a Republican primary over who will take on Senator Tammy Baldwin. Of course, those are just a few of the highlights. There are many other races on the ballots today. And the next primaries are coming up next week in Alaska, Florida, and Wyoming. There's a new federal effort to require companies to make it as easy to cancel a subscription as it is to sign up. It's just one new part of the Biden administration's Time is Money effort, a series of policies meant to crack down on headaches and hassles that Americans face. The FTC, the FCC, and the Consumer Financial Protection Bureau are proposing new rules that would affect everything from gym memberships to airline refunds. The Biden administration also aims to shut down customer service doom loops, described as a maze of menu options and automated recordings, and instead make it so customers can press one button to speak to a real human. While some of these new federal rules were rolled out this week, they're on various timelines for actually taking effect, with some needing weeks and others months to be implemented. Pop star Taylor Swift is planning to return to the stage for the first time since an alleged terror plot shut down her shows in Austria. She has 5 shows coming up in London, but TMZ cites law enforcement sources who say those shows will be relying on more security, including some that specialize in counterterrorism. That's partly in response to the incident in Vienna, but also because of ongoing riots that have been happening in London. Now, London police stress that Wembley Stadium, where Swift will play, has some of the best security in Europe. The London concerts run for 5 straight nights starting this Thursday. So remember we told you about a dispute over an Olympic bronze medal? Well, the saga seems to have gotten even more complicated. To recap, American gymnast Jordan Chiles was asked to return the medal that she was given for last week's floor exercise final, all over a last-minute score change. USA Gymnastics fought back, saying it had video footage that shows Chiles was the deserving winner, and it submitted that footage to the Court of Arbitration for Sport. Well, the court just said yesterday it would not reconsider, even with that new evidence. Well, Team USA says it still will not give up. It's going to keep pursuing an appeal, either through Switzerland's highest court or the European Court of Human Rights. Either way, this could set up a months or years-long legal battle. There are a few tech stories to tell you about today. First, driverless car company Waymo says its vehicles are coming to freeways in San Francisco. Waymo says testing in Phoenix went well, so this week it started expanding to the Bay Area. Still, it will only be employees allowed to ride on freeways. Everyone else in the Bay Area can still hail Waymo's autonomous rides, but they'll only go on surface streets for now. Also this week, TikTok, the wildly popular video app, added a new feature that will compete with other messaging apps like Meta's Messenger or WhatsApp. TikTok's new Group Chats feature has room for up to 32 people. They'll be off limits to kids 15 and younger, just like DMs, and there'll be some added safety measures for 16 and 17-year-olds. And finally, Made by Google, the event where the new Pixel phones will be unveiled, happens today at 10 a.m. Pacific. Google has already teased its Pixel 9 Pro and 9 Pro Fold, and today, the tech giant could detail new features like improved camera sensors, faster charging, a satellite connection, and more. And experts suspect a watch and earbuds could be on the menu as well. We're also likely to hear the latest updates on Gemini, Google's AI tool and virtual assistant that can help with things like drafting messages and creating images. You can watch a live stream of the event on YouTube. Well, that's it for the main news today, so now it's time for Trivia Tuesday, when we ask a different trivia question every week. But first, a quick break to thank our sponsor. I remember when the Newsworthy got its first feature on Apple Podcasts, and I saw a significant spike in new listeners for the first time. It really reminds me that as a business owner, you want to be ready for that next step, even before it happens. Well, if you're selling online, Shopify should be your go-to. Shopify is a global commerce platform that helps you sell at every stage of your business. And you know they're ready to help you grow and keep your business strong because Shopify powers 10% of all e-commerce in the US. Yeah, that sound is often heard because Shopify helps you turn browsers into buyers with the internet's best converting checkout, 36% better on average compared to other leading commerce platforms. Plus, Shopify's award-winning help is there to support your success every step of the way. Sign up for a $1 per month trial period at shopify.com/newsworthy, all lowercase. Go now to shopify.com/newsworthy to grow your business no matter what stage you're in. Shopify.com/newsworthy. Okay, now back to Trivia Tuesday. Today's trivia question is, who has the only Hollywood Walk of Fame star not on the ground? You can play along with us in our weekly roundup email that comes out each Friday. As for last week's trivia question, what primary color do babies see first? The answer is red. But not right away. At first, newborns can see, just not very well, especially things more than a foot away from them. For the most part, they just perceive light and dark, shapes, some patterns, and movement. But the first primary color they're really able to distinguish is red. Eventually, most babies will have the full range of color vision, usually at about 5 months old. It's hard to tell for sure what colors your baby is able to see until they're old enough to talk. But even when they're pretty young, you could notice they tend to move toward bolder toys and objects. So if you're looking for a good gift to get a little one, something red might be a good choice. Well, thank you so much for listening today, and thank you, as always, to our Newsworthy insiders for your support. We'll be back tomorrow with more news to know. Until then, have a great day.